know, everyone, I don't know if this explanation is going to go into the compilation that I do every year. Well, and it doesn't matter, of the bloopers and extras, right? But this year, for this season, what I'm going to do for the cold open candidates is in an alternate universe, or in an AU for short, and it will take something that happened in the episode. For example, the main Cure. I've forgotten everything that I've ever known about the show, but there might be a part when she gets distracted and she almost walks into the road, and she almost gets hit by a car, but then she's saved by the bad guy who's pretending to be a good guy. And I might say, in an AU, they wouldn't have been cowards, and that car would have hit her, and then the rest of the season would have been her coma dreams.
Okay.
That kind of a thing, all right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
The rest of the season would have been her as a zombie.
Yeah, exactly. Kokoro. Kokoro's the purple one. And then the blue one, we don't know her name, Nana. And then the main girl is Uda Sakura. Okay, I do know things about PreCure. In an alternate universe, this episode would have Kokoro overcompensating in the recording by doing a bunch of ridiculous music, like death metal.
In an alternate universe, this episode would see Kokoro forget the words to every song she's ever heard except Weird Al's first polka.
I think that was Bohemian Polka. I think was the first one he ever did of that. Okay. In an AU, Pururun would have been a hard-ass trainer during the handshake practice. You call that a handshake, you pathetic worm?
I would have liked to see that.
In an AU, Cutty's sunglasses look would cause someone to mistake him for a bodyguard, and he'd spend the entire episode very confused as to why he was protecting the president. Get down, Mr. President. The Taliban are trying to snip you.
Oh no! Get down, Mr. President. Your Kirakira is starting to shine too brightly.
I'm gonna start reading these ahead of time in my head so I can kind of...
Good idea. So you don't sound like you're reading them also.
In an AU, Cutty would have fallen to his knees, ripped his shirt asunder, and shouted, "I'm so Kirakira!" And underneath, he's wearing all of their merch.
In an AU, Cutty's reluctance to announce his love of PreCure would be a serious coming out story.
And, Darkeen's the boss. Chokerine would just be like, "You're dead to me, I have no son."
Oh, no!
But then by the end of the season, she'll have come around.
She's learned to accept gay people.
Yes. I loved the look of worry on your face as I was describing Cutty, like, falling to his knees. In an AU, Zakkuri would have put together his own handshake event to cheer Cutty up. And Cutty would have been so moved that they would have made out if the showrunners weren't cowards.
Make them gay for real and not just in the weird stereotype design. These are very silly. I'm having a good time.
Good. In an AU, the appearance of the mysterious Peach would have been the harbinger of more to come, and throughout the episode, more and more Peaches would have appeared, and it would have been a horror story, an infestation of aliens from another world.
Terrifying. I love it.
We can't have more than 2 Peruruns. The universe would collapse.
Is Peruran's sister named Mariko?
Meroran, yeah.
In an alternate universe, Meroran would have stabbed Cure Idol as soon as she found out she and Pururun were sleeping together, just to prove her love.
Days of our fairies.
She would have kidnapped her and kept her in the box.
No! Keep Joe away from these girls!
Keep Joe away from all girls, honestly.
Actually, no. Let them see Joe's horrific crimes and let him get blasted by a rainbow blast. And his last words are, "I'm so Kirakira," and then he dies. That's how You should end. That's how the Netflix show You should end. In an AU, Kokoro would have been the woman in the chair for the team, and she would have used her social media savvy to help them find the bad guys. If I triangulate the hashtags, we'll be able to find the Macaranda. In an AU, Meroran would have simply been baked into a pie, like she deserves.
In an alternate universe, that guy who captured Meroran would have succeeded at kidnapping her, and they would have traveled the world as a man and his miraculous talking rabbit. The rest of the show would have been about the Cures trying to rescue her, but they're always one step behind.
The Cures have become Team Rocket somehow. They don't even realize it.
It becomes a serious story about trafficking.
Oh.
And exploitation. I don't know why I keep doing this.
In an alternate universe, Meroran would have simply been handing out PreCure powers to all random children as she searched for the PreCure. We'd have a team of 100. What? Oh. In an alternate universe, Kokoro would have simply used her antenna to sense Uda's true dream.
In an alternate universe, Meroran would have had an entirely different hairstyle, and we would not have clocked her as Yandere on site.
In an alternate universe, Uda's dream would have been to be a masked wrestler, and she would have defeated Cutty, Zakkuri, and Chokorine by doing a cool suplex.
Hell yeah.
Kokoro with the metal chair, honestly.
Or the Kokoro with the chair!
Nana from the top rope!
Nana would be such a good masked wrestler.
Okay.
It's always the quiet ones, I feel like, who are, like, ready to go totally unhinged when they actually have to. I can see that as her secret identity.
Okay.
One of the 7 wonders of Nana, the 8th wonder of Nana.
In an AU, Uda's dream would be to live as an animal, and she'd spend the rest of the episode trying to fly by flapping her arms while wearing a chicken costume. Nana and Kokoro would be absolutely baffled, but trying their best to support their friend.
Was this related to anything in the episode, or just something you thought of?
I was trying to think of a silly dream she could have had.
That is a silly dream. Oh yeah, the episode was about her dreams. Okay.
I need to label these next time so I can be like, what is happening here? Oh, the episode with, okay. In an alternate universe, Uda would have been completely flustered by Chokorine's appearance and her beauty, if the showrunners weren't cowards.
In an alternate universe, the showrunners would not be cowards.
In an alternate universe, Meroran's end of episode sting would have been her scheming to take over the tri-state area.
In an alternate universe, Meroran would have been a male if the showrunners weren't cowards. Make bunnies that are pink boys.
Yeah, absolutely. In an alternate universe, when the beginning of the episode showed... In an alternate universe, at the beginning of the episode, when it showed Chokorine being flustered and being, scared, panicked, it would have been because she invested all of her money in Bitcoin, and she had lost it all, and then she and the rest of the team would have to go through increasingly complicated plots to get her money back.
You remember the pig from Soaring Sky who had to get a job?
Yes.
That would have been them.
Mr. Farts McGee.
God, I hated that thing.
In an alternate universe, the trio attack would have actually been called low emotion and would have been weaponized depression.
In an alternate universe, they would have given us a new goddamn song for the trio attack instead of the f***ing finale.
Writing songs is hard.
I want a new song.
You think Uda's going to sing her little I am the PreCure every episode?
Joel,
no, they're going to run out of lyrics.
Look at me. Look at my eyes. How many new songs do I come up with a day?
Yeah, but you're just talented.
And they're pretty good usually, right? These people are getting paid.
They are getting paid.
Write me a new goddamn song.
In an alternate universe, Tanaka would have been absolutely terrified by the appearance of Meroran. The relationship between them would not be explained, but he would simply cry, "Oh God, not her," and flee.
I love that.
That has been your cold takes. In an AU, episode 13 would have had Purin explaining the basics of romance to Uda, and she just wouldn't get any of it if the showrunners weren't cowards. Also, it's Pride Month, so that would be very fitting.
We stan an Aro Queen.
In an AU, Nana would teach that girl real witchcraft. Do you want a spell to win a boy's heart? Here's a curse to steal his heart.
Amazing.
In an AU, the girls would have told Cutty this tournament is for a woman's love, and he would have called off the attack and been like, oh, there's nothing more important. After he returned to the base, Chokorine would ask, where do you think Kirilala comes from? In an AU, Uda would have simply transformed into a PreCure to help her team win. She can risk her secret identity if it's for love.
In an AU, Uda would have smacked that girl for bringing feelings into volleyball. This is about sports, not your weird emotional crushes.
There's no kissing in volleyball.
We're in middle school. That means boys are the least important thing on our minds.
In an AU, the school children would have caught Cutty and tied him up and hit him with sticks.
Why would you do that to Cutty?
Because he showed up. He was remember he was a trespasser, and all the school kids saw him or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
This is going to be good because in parentheses I don't know what sparked this. In an AU, the Mother's Day episode would have opened with Kokoro's mom declaring she had met someone new and was dating again, and it would be revealed to be Cutty. There is no ulterior motive. It's just a strange coincidence, and by the end of the episode, Kokoro's decided to support her mom no matter what, so long as the mom is happy.
That's the real death to Kirakira, is your mom being by the bad guy.
In an AU, Zakkuri would have been tasked with going MILF hunting in order to gather power for the darkness, or whatever, and the Japanese children would ask some very awkward questions. In an AU, Kokoro would have ended her speech about her mom with, "And I'm going to hire her a butler." In an AU, the Mother's Day episode would have ended with Zakkuri saying, "I should call my mom," and it's just him reconnecting with his mom and leaving the evil organization.
Aw.
In an AU, Meroran would have simply been a character from the Kingdom Hearts universe who unexpectedly crossed over into this show. It would explain why she has darkness in her heart. In an AU, the PreCure trio would have respected Meroran's desire to be alone on a date. I get that she's annoying, but come on, girls. No wonder she doesn't like you. In an AU, the girls would have wanted to help Cutty to better teach lessons about friendship. In an AU, the heartbroken Meroran would simply have left town to never be seen again if the showrunners weren't cowards.
I have one along those lines as well. In another world, Meroran was given a restraining order, and the girls had a lovely time alone with Pururun.
In an AU, Cutty would have split into two, the one who loves the idol PreCure and another who loved the darkness, and then they'd kiss? In an AU, Udo would have insisted that Cutty was a member of Idol PreCure. No one would understand why she said it, but it would have changed his life. In an AU, Darkeen would have made Zakkuri be the one to cut Cutty's heart ribbon, and he would have refused or done it and spent the rest of his life in a downward spiral. I can't believe that was the day everything changed. He was my partner.
Oh, them boys are gay.
In an AU, Prurin would have built a mech suit powered by Kiralala and used that to fight alongside the Idol PreCure. In an AU, the PreCure would have had tryouts for the next member of the team, and Prurin would have been the obvious choice all along. Maybe Meroran could be there too, I guess.
In an AU, the Idol PreCure would have had tryouts for the next member of the team, and Pururun would have been the obvious choice, but turns out they can't sing.
They got in trouble for juicing with steroids.
For an idol?
They tried to explain to Pururun that wasn't necessary, but Pururun just insisted.
Sounds like Pururun.
In an AU, shouldn't the bad guys have had the Kirai lock? Or maybe Darkeen herself could have offered it. This will grant you your wish, but at a cost.
It sure does seem like a cursed object for a fairy to own. No wonder Meroran is like this.
It makes much more sense if they didn't know there was a cost to having their wish granted. Then maybe they became a Kura Yaminda, and there was a several episode arc of getting them back. God, I'm such a better writer than these hacks! In an AU, instead of summoning two new PreCure, the Kirai lock would have just been an orbital laser strike that obliterated Cutty. In an AU, Nana would have been brave enough to announce Cure Wink was her fave and wanted to kiss her. Kokoro and Udo would have been utterly speechless. In another world, Udo would have delved into the horrors of online fandom. She would have immediately become jaded and lost her ability to transform. In an AU, Udo would simply have been too obsessed with Zakkuri to transform, or her post-henshin phrase would have changed. In an AU, Kokoro would have simply diagnosed Udo with gay disease or declared her too gay to live. In an AU, Pururun and Meroran would have simply wished for more wishes. Idiots. In an AU, Zakkuri and Kiss would fight with giant spoons.
Why?
Everyone would be so confused.
Oh, because
those are the items
that... their henshin item. Yeah. In an AU, instead of tolerating Meroran's nonsense, Udo would have just snatched the wig right off her bald-ass head for failing to be a decent person.
Hashtag cancel Meroran. In an AU, every time Pururun and Meroran transformed into human figures, they'd sometimes both be mask-presenting and sometimes femme. Wait, did I just reinvent Jordan Lee from Generation V?
Here's the thing, Joel. Here's your the more you know moment. Just be gay.
In an AU, Tanaka's fairy farm would be comically round or large, or maybe really tall and skinny, like a wacky wavy arm. Oh my god, I wrote it down correctly. Like a wacky wavy arm inflatable tube fairy.
I think it's funnier to just leave in your, like, I can't say it.
Yeah, that's gonna be part of it. In an AU, Zakkuri would have gone on strike to protest working conditions. What's Team Chokurin's output going to look like with their only worker refusing to work?
What are the means of production when all you're trying to produce is darkness?
Is the Kirakira from people's hearts the means of production, or the people, I think?
Yeah, so... Anyway.
In an AU, you and Idol PreCure would cross over with K-pop Demon Hunters if the showrunners weren't cowards. In an AU, Uda would have put all her bad feelings into a new song, perhaps a new black and gray outfit to suit her mourning, losing Meroran. Wake me up inside!
In an AU, we'd get a new song.
We're getting there. In an AU, the Kura Yaminda formed from Meroran would have been called a Meroraninda. Also, it would be so cute that the other PreCure wouldn't attack even if they could transform. I can't record this correctly. It's just going to have to go in.
Let me try for you, okay?
Meroraninda.
Merorinda.
Okay.
In an AU, the Kurayaminda formed from
Meroran?
Shut up. In an AU, the Kurayaminda formed from Pururun would have been called a Pururinda, and it would have been so cute the girls would have been entirely unable to attack it.
Also, it wouldn't be able to attack because it's Pururin, so it would just be a stalemate.
Big, soft, stuffed animal paws.
It makes like the squeaky sound every time it punches something. In an AU, Uda's heartfelt miracle that restored Pururin's memories of their friendship with Uda would have also awakened latent memories in Zakkuri that he has been best friends with Uda his entire life. Just kind of memory inception in there, and he would have become a good guy.
Oh my god, Uda is that thing from Rick and Morty that can brainworm itself into you.
Yes.
That you've always been there. In an AU, Pururun regaining their memories would mean that they couldn't transform anymore. If this magic had rules...
If the showrunners weren't cowards.
You know, the showrunners being cowards is a funny callback for us because we record all of these, but people aren't going to hear all of them.
They are eventually. When we get to the end of the season, I'll put them in a compilation.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
In an AU, instead of firing lasers at Zakkuri, Kyun would have put him in a headlock. Waterboard that man, learn all of the secrets of Team Chokurin.
Damn.
Running around at the speed of sound. Okay, we run down here. Nope, that's notes. In an AU, Meroran would have bit that pretty holic. In an AU, Meroran would have bit that pretty holic worker. That seems in character.
It does.
In an AU, Meroran would have decided to dress as a Kibi Dongo or a donut to win Pururin's heart.
I don't want to know where she puts the stick.
Through that empty-ass head of hers.
That bald-ass head.
In an AU, this would be the episode when they put Meroran in the soup if the showrunners weren't cowards.
Soup.
In an AU, the rival battle would have been a no-holds-bar cage match. My money's on Kokoro. Could you imagine Nana with a metal bat, though?
Yes.
In an AU, when only... right. In an AU, when only Uda had recognized that Kaido came to her cafe, it would have been revealed that he had been a ghost the whole time. In an AU, Kaito would simply be wearing hypnotic glasses, and that's why no one recognized him in his civilian outfit. And he'd also fight a bald billionaire and a giant kaiju.
And save a squirrel! Probably should have reminded me before you started.
I forgot that I had... one of these is also you, but this one's a normal one.
Okay.
In an AU, Meroran's signature would just be a picture of an ogre breathing fire.
Why an ogre?
Because it's like a weird possessive monster thing.
Okay.
In an AU, the Cure Idol trio would be potatoes.
What?
Because then when they sing their song, it would be, let's-a sing, let's-a dance, let's-a swing, let's-a fry.
What?
Alternatively, they could be made of bacon or ham.
Okay, so, I understand that you're replacing fly with fry.
Right,
but the rest of it has nothing to do with potatoes.
You fry potatoes.
Yeah.
That's it. So that's what we call the punchline. The rest of it is like the build-up to the joke.
I do feel like I've been hit.
In an AU, it would have been revealed that the idol PreCure songs contain subliminal messages that brainwash people into becoming fans. They will be your idol. This explains why they convert the Chokurine people.
Plus, if you play them backwards, it says, be gay, be gay. In an AU, the show would have explained that if you're really good at what you do, you don't actually need to take breaks.
No!
If the showrunners weren't cowards...
Go to bed!
Never.
In an AU, Nana would have been wooed by Zakkuri's cute belly button if the showrunners weren't cowards.
I'm a coward, I guess. I don't care for that. No man should refer to his belly button as cute or show it off.
Maybe, at least I didn't say Zakkuri's like his dogs that are barking or his wiggly toes.
Why are you being so weird?
In an AU, Zakkuri would have quit his job to found a tech startup. He'd help people learn how to do idol dances.
Okay, well, how is that a tech startup?
It's
Would it be like an app?
It'd be like AI that teaches you how to do it and is your personal idol coach.
Oh, you can upload a video of your favorite idol to the AI, and then it tells you how to do their dance.
Okay, yeah. And it replicates their voice, and it just tells you some weird stuff. There's an app where you can actually talk to the Cure, and it's not weird. I want to make it clear that Zakkuri would make it weird, but the real-life app is not weird. They're two separate things. In an AU, Tanaka would have simply told the idol girls they were Rizless without his help. That's really what his laughter meant.
In an AU, Tanaka would be celebrated as the king he is.
Yes. He's the real Sigma.
Sigma Freud. Sigma balls.
Do you have any others?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Hey.
Yeah?
Did you know Tanaka's favorite Pokemon is Slugma?
Slugma what?
Slugma balls?
In an AU, magical shenanigans would have caused Nana and Zakkuri to both get shrunk to the size of mice and stuck inside of a bottle. A literal bottle episode, and they have to work together to get out. And it wouldn't be romantic vibes, like the showrunners aren't trying to get us to ship it, but there'd be some vibes in there, and we'd be like, what's going on here?
Okay.
Were you going to say? So hang on.
I was going to say you're really stuck on this size of a mouse thing.
And if I said it's not a fetish, that only makes it sound like it is one. In an AU, the sunflowers would have actually been the stalks of aliens that were buried beneath the ground, lying dormant until they were awakened by shenanigans. What a weird turn for you and Idol to take, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the first Japanese idol show that turned out to have aliens in it. 2 nickels.
In an AU, Zakkuri would see a therapist. Maybe he and Chokurine could go to couples therapy together.
Or hear me out.
Yeah.
He could just use AI. What? You don't need to see a real therapist. You can just ask AI
go to
your
bed.
health questions.
This isn't an AU or anything, but oh no, they're wumping all over Zakkuri's balls. In an AU, the UN Idol fan club would have had merchandise like swords and motorcycles and yaoi paddles.
Excuse... What? Yaoi paddles?
Those are the things that sell.
When have you ever bought a motorcycle from an idol?
But imagine how slick that would be. Imagine you catch one of the whales who's willing to pay 20 million yen or whatever for your product, and they buy a Kier banana cycle.
If I was in the market for a motorcycle right now, and I saw one that was PreCure, I would buy it, so you're right.
In an AU, Uda's favorite saying would have been Databayo, or maybe even Kaizoko ni Orewanaru.
But she's a girl.
What?
You can't believe it if you're a girl. In an AU, at least one of the fan letters Tanaka read would have been a request to show feet if the show writers weren't cowards.
In an AU, the Kuria Minda would have been the very registration portal for the fan club itself. What would that look like? Who knows?
Hole.
In a goddamned AU, the Idol Cure and Zukyun Kiss transformation would be one godforsaken sequence if the showrunners weren't wasting my time. In an AU, the ghost of Kokoro's dad would have appeared behind her so they could perform a father-daughter Kyun beat.
That's a Dragon Ball Z reference.
In an AU, the reason Zakkuri and Cutty joined Team Chokuri would be because the evil organization was the only one to recognize same-sex fairy marriage.
They may be evil, but they're not homophobes.
Fairy marriage, or farriage? Your farriage awaits, madame.
I support gay farriage.
In an AU, Banana would have become obsessed with chasing the CureTube trends until she became the PreCure version of Mr. Beast. She must be stopped.
I want to buy banana-themed chocolate bars.
Okay. Oh, yeah, right. I was thinking of the PreCure, not of Mr. Beast, you see. In an AU, we would get an episode of all 5 fairies dressed up in a trench coat trying to pass as a person. Maybe just Cootie and Zakkuri and Pururin. In an AU, the CureTube episode would have had a real, actual ad for Blue Mattress or whatever in the middle of the episode. In fact, this cold open is...
No!
In an AU, Utsugiri, the kid who looks like Weevil from Yu-Gi-Oh!, would have discovered Uda was Cure Idol from the sheer power of horniness. Whoa, her smile is just as dazzling as Idol's. Wait a second. In an AU, Uda's grandpa would have once been a member of the Yakuza, and his former associates would be hunting him down. PreCure versus the Yakuza. Also, this episode would end with a PSA with Wink telling us crime is bad. Kokoro, in the background, does not seem to completely agree. In an AU, Q-Chan's inner monologue would have had a line about, Uda, I have always loved you, romantically. I only wish I could take human form to show you my love.
You know, I asked you what the was wrong with you when you read this to me when you wrote it, and I'm asking you again for our listeners on behalf of the world, what the is wrong with you?
Present Joel is reading the words typed by past Joel and wondering what's wrong with past Joel. And then future Joel editing is going to wonder why present Joel, who will then become past Joel, read that out loud.
Why he still read it out loud.
In an AU, Q-Chan's inner monologue would have had a line about, Uda, I'm actually a human who has been bound in this form by a witch. If she is not slain by my 13th year as a dog, I shall remain in this form forever. We must move. There is not much time left before she dons the crown of midnight.
In an AU, Q-Chan's inner monologue would have been, Uda, you have to help me. I'm not actually a dog. I'm a prince and my kingdom is in danger. The
Sick
10th
reference.
Kingdom is a really, really good movie, and some really sexy podcasters did a bonus episode on it. You should listen to our bonus episode about the 10th Kingdom. Also, it's on Amazon Prime now, so none of you have an excuse to not watch it.
In an AU, the ghost of Uda's grandma would have appeared behind her so they could perform a granddaughter-grandma idol fist touch. I know I just made that joke, but it's a 2-nickel situation. In an AU, Q-Chan would have become a PreCure, even a temporary one if the showrunners weren't cowards.
He'd become a human first, like in Soaring Sky?
No! He'd be a dog in an idol outfit. He would still bark like a dog. He's a dog!
He's a dog! What, do you want him to hold the mic with his human hands? He's a dog!
In an AU, the Idol and Zukyun teams would go on a game show requiring teams of 5, and the spirit of competition would have brought them closer together.
But they would have been afraid of the coin flip.
The coin flip. Meroran would be afraid of the coin flip because heads is like she has to be nice to people and she doesn't want it to land on heads. In an AU, the book Chokurine was reading would be something completely unexpected, like...
Like a bone turner's tale?
Like a bone turner's tale. That's a really good one, yeah.
I did it! I didn't do a horny one!
That's going to become its own sound clip. I did it. I didn't do a horny one.
In an AU, the moment when Pururin said she would always love Meroran would be the moment they finally shared a passionate yet tender on-screen kiss if the showrunners weren't cowards!
Their love can never be.
Only because, propriety.
In an AU, the show would have used Uda trying to get people to vote on who should be the center to teach about different voting methods and their pros and cons, such as ranked choice and first past the post.
Listen, in America, we don't subscribe to any of that fancy nonsense.
In an AU, the show could have used Kokoro running for student council president to outline the importance of having a platform to run on to the viewers, ultimately highlighting how Kokoro is ill-suited for the job. And if I just predicted the end of the episode, note that I'm writing this only 8 minutes into the episode. And actually, Banana just brought this up, as does Chio, so I'm a genius.
We knew that.
In an AU...
What's wrong with you?
That was the real reason I needed you here to listen, because I needed to hear your... I actually laughed out loud until I couldn't breathe writing that one in the document.
I bet you did!
In an AU, Q-Chan would have been the center of Idol PreCure if the showrunners weren't cowards. In an AU, Meroran and Pururin's stunning human forms would have been the lesbian and or bisexual awakening of Uda, Banana, and Kokoro. In an AU, the teachers would have suspected Purin and Meroran weren't humans due to seemingly not knowing a thing about how humans work, and would have called in some kind of supernatural team to deal with them. Get sucked into the ghost device from Ghostbusters, losers. In an AU, when the fairies tried to take human form, they would have fused into a single body. Get some body horror up in this PreCure. In an AU, the single-digit fan club members would be the strongest characters all the inspiring club members would have to defeat, and they'd have incredibly versatile or powerful techniques. In an AU, Q-chan would have been wearing a hat just like Watson while Hammery was trying to solve the mystery. In an AU, the show would have made a hilarious lamp-shading joke about how the idol group only actually has one song and they need a few more for the concert. Cue a mad dash for them to come up with song ideas. In an AU, Jogi/Kazuma would have been revealed to just be a ghost, and that's why he was able to disappear when Kaito turned to look at him, and would make it harder to reform those lost bonds. In an AU, Kokoro would have simply outperformed the spin dance Dark Rhonda, because she has heart, but the Dark Rhonda doesn't. In an AU, maybe the Dancing Star PreCure team could have gotten a bit more build-up for the episode. I mean, like, even just having Soon to be like, there's this cool group of 5 color-coordinated guys competing this year, would help me understand what was going on. In an AU, Kokoro would have simply drop-kicked Kai. Try abolishing the fan club with my foot up your butt, she declares. In an AU, Chokurine would show up to steal darkness or whatever, but would have gotten so swept up in Kokoro's speech that her heart goes kyun-kyun, and that's how we get the cat-girl fairy to join Team Friendship. In an AU, Team Chokurine would simply cancel a beloved TV show or kill someone's parents if they wanted to harvest some good darkness. In an AU, the president would have been Chokurine in disguise, taking away the thing that brought Uda joy, and Cutty and Zack would have noticed some tell that only they would recognize, and that's how they figured out that it was actually her in disguise, and that she was a cat-girl fairy the whole time.
In an AU, Chokurine would have gotten a redemption arc. Instead of just being melted into black goo, is this We Hate Women hour? I thought this was PreCure.
Hashtag justice for Chokurine. In an AU, Meroran would have had a serious conversation with Uda about existential depression and how it's okay to enjoy something if it brings you joy, no matter how silly that activity might seem. The president would have simply been a cognitive distortion and would have faded from existence as Uda fought against the false stories she told herself.
Dang, bro.
In an AU, the president telling Uda not to sing, the president, a man, telling Uda, a woman, not to sing, would have been symbolic of something, and she would have had her voice taken away, which represents, I don't know, some bigger issue. And when Chokurine showed up and realized that she was being controlled by Darkine the same way that Uda was being controlled by by the president, they would have joined forces, women supporting women, and Chokurine would have been redeemed.
But anime is not political.
That's true. I think you said Bananame isn't political. Bananame. That's the only type of show that Banana watches. In an AU, after Kazuma had been transformed from Jogi back into Kazuma, the PreCure would have had a moment where they tried to ask him questions since he has been in the evil enemy general lair and has spoken to the evil queen. And just as he's about to reveal all the secrets, he would have been snatched away by the darkness and we would have begun the We Have to Save Kazuma arc.
That could have been good.
Gay angst.
Gangst.
Some people really like that. Couldn't be me, but some people like it.
Wow. Are you homophobic?
Not
homophobic
in fact,
on Maine?
You know what? I'm so not homophobic that I don't want the homosexuals to be angsty. I want them to be happy.
Oh, am I homophobic?
This isn't an AU pitch, but if this episode doesn't put Tanaka in a Santa suit, we riot. But also in an AU, they'd put Tanaka in a Mrs. Santa outfit complete with a skirt if the showrunners weren't cowards.
Did I just learn something about you?
Tanaka canonically doesn't have a gender. In an AU, all of the Kiraland residents would celebrate Hanukkah, and that's why Purin doesn't know what Christmas is, and both humans and fairies would do a little cultural exchange.
It's cute. In an AU, PreCure would have used the Christmas episode and discussion of Santa to delve into an entirely new magic system. Snowmakers, sunmakers, rainmakers, and windmakers.
Wait,
Long
I get
ago,
it.
the 4 nations.
No, each of the 4 nations were at war with each other. And each one of them has a prince that represents the most powerful caster of that type of magic. And then we have a human woman who's the most special woman ever, but she describes herself as really bland, and she doesn't think that there's anything special about her. And she has the secret 5th magic, and she has to pick one of the 4 men to be her suitor, and she just can't choose who to take to prom.
Is this already a book? Because I would read it if you wrote it.
It's called Lightlark, and mixed reviews.
I like that you took my Avatar thing and you were like, you know what? Let's make fun of a book.
I wasn't trying to make fun of a book. I was making fun of an entire genre. In an AU, couldn't the idol PreCure have simply said, hey, we want to put on a big holiday celebration, Christmas celebration, can everyone pitch in? And then they'd build community together? I think that would have been super great. Although, I am writing this mid-episode, so I might have just solved the mystery of how this entire episode is going to end. In an AU, the fairies would have been, mystically good at making ornaments. You know, like elves and fairies from our real-world mythology. And when the girls were like, do you have enough ornaments? The room would have been flooded with thousands of them. In an AU, Q-Chan could have been the reindeer!
Aww.
That's all I put?
Puppy reindeer.
Puppy reindeer. In an AU, when they didn't have enough chickens or ingredients for cake, the delicious party in Kirakira PreCure would have swooped in with heaps of baked food and delicious sweets. And then also, Chocolat and Macaron would have had a moment underneath the mistletoe, and we'd be like, I get that reference. We support women in love.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're not homophobic.
Yes. I want not being homophobic to be part of our brand, part of our identity.
Absolutely. No phobias, really.
Arachnophobia is okay if you're in the Magnus Archives. If there's a spider creature that's going to eat you, it might be okay. But if you don't fear them, then they won't have any power over you.
And in real life, we respect all creatures.
That's true, absolutely. In an AU, Meroran would have had to... In an AU, realistically, Meroran should have had to have weakened the Dark Rhonda Santa before she was able to use her netball and start her adventure of being a Pokemon Master.
In an AU, Kokoro would be the protagonist of a Danganronpa property, for she has the proper antenna. Kokoro could win a death game.
Yeah, probably.
She'd be like, killing does not make our hearts go kyun-kyun, friends.
That's why she'd be the first to die. In an AU, the prank show would have told Kirzakune that the house was made of chocolate, and she would have gone insane trying to figure out which pieces of furniture she could eat.
Bold of you to assume Pururune hasn't already licked every doorknob and surface in that house.
Do they, on those shows, do they taste like chocolate when you lick them? Because they are just chocolate, painted or whatever?
Yeah, you have to find the chocolate things by biting through them.
That's, okay, but if you've licked it, can you taste it, or do you have to bite through it? Do they put something on the outside? That's what I'm saying. So if Pururune has licked every doorknob, that's still not enough to determine. Pururune would not be a member of the Star Detective PreCure team.
That's fair, but what I said was funny.
What you said was very funny. In an AU, we would have gotten Cat Girl Kokoro. This isn't a random thought out of nowhere. Her antenna was waving like a cattail. That's where I got the idea.
In an AU, the idol PreCure characters actually could stay together forever and did. Too bad this is regular PreCure.
PreCure, where all of your dreams can come true, except staying with your friends. That one is too powerful. In an AU, could the idol PreCure not simply paint the heart tree pink to counter the evil effects?
No, idiot, they'd get beheaded.
In an AU, when Uda was facing off against the heart tree, Dark Rhonda would have... the heart tree Dark Rhonda. In an AU, when Uda was facing off against the heart tree Dark Rhonda, she would have unleashed her first ever Pink Flash! In an AU, the spreading darkness through Hanamichi Town and Kirakira Land would have meant that everyone would have to dress as goths. All department stores would be replaced with Hot Topic.
Oh god, they all have to start listening to The Cure instead of idol music.
Hi, what? Obviously, you are only listening to this, you can't see, but Gigi is just staring at me with, kind of a concerned look on her face.
What the
In an AU, maybe they could have shown Chokerine being nice to the other two before it was time for her heel phase. She still could have been an evil, overworking boss or whatever, but they could have had it be like the company is putting stress on her and she takes it on them.
In an AU, Cosmo would see Uda wearing Kaido's scarf and be like, hold up, Why is that girl got your scarf on? What is this? What are you two? He might not even ask Kaido. He might confront Uda directly. Why do you have my man's scarf on? You think you mean something to him? You don't. I was here first. We have reconnected. I no longer have darkness in my heart. Imagine if a man's finger was the size of your whole mouth.
Excuse me?
Talk about being silenced by the patriarchy. That happened.
Okay.
In one of these episodes.
See, this is why I included this isn't a random thought for the Cat Girl Kokoro one, because out of context, I have no idea what's going on here. In an AU, maybe Banana or Kokoro could have been like, are you sure we can lighten Darkeen's heart? And Meroran would be like, there's light even in darkness, since, that's like her motto, her whole thing.
It's the opposite of her motto, but like it would be like her coming full circle.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely. Shh.
In an AU, Chokurine would have named her beam attack Scissor Cannon, and there would be absolutely no subtext, especially given that she, a woman, was serving Darkeen, also a woman, in the series of PreCure where people tend to headcanon certain relationships.
But what is Chokurine serving?
I've been told I can't say that word.
No, you may not.
In an AU, Darkeen would simply eat the PreCure, pop them into her mouth like gumdrops. I bet they taste sweet.
Pardon? This is PreCure. This isn't One Piece. There's no place for Oda's vor fetish here.
In an AU, those dancing boys would have shown up to help save the day from the invasion of Dark Rondas, and maybe some of the other PreCure from previous seasons. I know the voice actors would be hella expensive, but it would make sense in universe at least. Imagine Cure Flora saying that she found their concerts super uplifting. In an AU, Darkeen would have made a "my brain trembles" comment as she was using her pedal goose hands to try and grab Idol.
Nirihodo.
What?
That's the thing that he says.
Oh, is it?
Nirihodo, Nirihodo! Yeah.
In an AU, a strong wind would have made the totally 2D Darkeen stand power start flapping a bit like a wacky wavy inflatable arm tube man. Could you imagine just like, I will take you over with darkness, and she's flapping around? In an AU, Uda would have simply declared, Kingdom Hearts is light, and that would have defeated... In an AU, Uda would have simply declared, Kingdom Hearts is light, and that would have defeated Darkeen in a burst of radiance.
Wait, but isn't Kingdom Hearts a moon and also a moon and full of darkness?
It's also a moon, but not like the first moon, and also it's full of darkness, but there was light in there too.
I just shouldn't ask.
Yes. In an AU, Darkeen would have shouted, I get it, enough with the transformation sequences. And then Purin would shout, you must buy all of our toys before we will be silent. In an AU, Darkeen's side of the battlefield would have been all black and evil and mysterious, and as more and more people joined in cheering for the Idol PreCure, the light would have expanded, the darkness would have diminished, and their attacks would start doing more damage. Everyone go play the original Paper Mario right now.
I was just about to ask you if that was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Reference, but it had to be a reference to something.
Too specific. You know I don't have thoughts, original thoughts on my own.
Not one.
In an AU, the Detective PreCure would have solved a much more substantial case. Wouldn't it be so interesting if she deduced that Uda, Banana, and Kokoro were you and Idol PreCure?
Oh.
In an AU, Purin wouldn't have been Crystal Zetsubode because their head is too empty to hold any darkness.
Generous love, respectful love, pure love, tender love, familial love, erotic love, friendly love, 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 love! Darkeen's got the fingies.
You are going to be so lucky if that didn't peak. In an AU, Zakkuri would have put together his own Handshake Event to cheer Cutty up, and Cutty would have been so moved that they would have made out if the showrunners weren't cowards. In an alternate universe, Uda would have been completely flustered by Chokurine's appearance and her beauty if the showrunners weren't cowards.
In an alternate universe, Meroran would have been a male if the showrunners weren't cowards.
In an AU, episode 13 would have had Purin explaining the basics of romance to Uda, and she just wouldn't get any of it if the showrunners weren't cowards. Also, it's Pride Month, so that would be very fitting.
We stan an Aro Queen.
In an AU, the heartbroken Meroran would simply have left town to never be seen again if the showrunners weren't cowards. In an AU, you and Idol PreCure would cross over with K-pop Demon Hunters if the showrunners weren't cowards.
In an AU, Purun regaining their memories would mean that they couldn't transform anymore if this magic had rules.
If the showrunners weren't cowards. In an AU, this would be the episode when they put Meroran in the soup if the showrunners weren't cowards.
Soup.
Soup.
In an AU, the show would have explained that if you're really good at what you do, you don't actually need to take breaks.
No!
If the showrunners weren't cowards...
Go to bed!
Never.
In an AU, Nana would have been wooed by Zakkuri's cute belly button if the showrunners weren't cowards.
I'm a coward, I guess. I don't care for that. In an AU, at least one of the fan letters Tanaka read would have been a request to show feet if the show writers weren't cowards.
In a goddamned AU, the Idol Cure and Zukyun Kiss transformation would be one godforsaken sequence if the showrunners weren't wasting my time. In an AU, Q-chan would have become a PreCure, even a temporary one, if the showrunners weren't cowards. In an AU, Q-chan would have been the center of Idol PreCure if the showrunners weren't cowards.